Fridays on Monday. Each week we meet to talk about what happened this week in social media. With us today we have Chase Rayner. Chase is an SEO from the West Coast of the USA. Chase can be found at reliablecomputerhelp.com. Masataki Wafda is webmaster of watsaweb.net. He's also a Google top contributor on the AdSense and also the Google Plus Help community. Maher Bagat, Masataki is from the Wimbledon area in London, in the UK. And you can find Masataki at wasaweb.net, wasaweb.net. Maher Bagat is a human resources dynamo and social media queen from New Delhi in India. And Tim Capper is a Google top contributor on the Google My Business community and also a conversion rate optimization specialist and SEO in the UK. You can find Tim at onlineownership.com. All right, our first topic, we've got 4 topics, but I'm basically dealing with 2 subjects. Let's have a look at the first one. We can probably cover the first 2 together. Masataki posted a post from the Twitter blog on the count feature on the Twitter button, which has disappeared. Which is good for blokes like me who didn't ever get a great count. I don't mind it. Now I'm up in the league there with the same realm as Tim Capper. Comments, Scott?
I'm gonna check it out. I haven't seen this before. Why do you guys think they did it?
Probably system resources, maybe.
Yeah. If you read the blog on Twitter, then it does say its goals were to build a predictable, dependable platform for you to build your websites, apps, and businesses, and that there is a technical reason why undocumented APIs were removed, and that's because they're switching platforms. So there are technical reasons why Twitter has done this, but at the same time, I think it's also an indication that they wanted to get away from the tweet counts appearing next to the tweet button. In the sense that, is it a meaningful metric? I think that's the second article that Dushal shared, I think, goes into. Is the number next to the tweet button a really a good indication for whatever it is indicating?
And it was fairly easy to game, wasn't it, Masataki? You could buy any number of counts on Fiverr, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think the going rate was a couple of thousand for Fiverr. So yeah, it can be easily manipulated. And obviously there's no qualitative element either, because you could be sharing something on Twitter and say, oh, this is absolutely horrible, and this is utterly stupid, whatever. And yet that count will go up. And you could make a similar argument for Facebook like figures and Google Plus buttons too, because the count will go up if you share web resource, web entity. It, it doesn't matter whether it's a positive or negative. Just the mere fact of sharing that thing translates into an increase in the number of likes or plus ones. So
Yeah,
I
you can
think,
still do this with.
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say you can still do this with Facebook. If you take a Facebook share from your website and then you boost it to like Nigeria or something, or some really low cost per click region, you can get all that social proof on that post on your website for very, very cheap.
Yeah, but then if you look at where your post is populating, it's been Dhaka, Bangladesh, so it might not really work out. So yeah, there are issues. I think there is a general, problem with the manipulability and inflation of these figures because it is so easy to fake.
But I was also reading on a on a Stack Overflow form that you can actually edit these share counts in the back end of your website too, where you don't even have to do it through the API. You can just do it straight through your website. I don't know where that article is, but I know that there was people saying that you can do it. Because the reason why I stumbled upon that is when I briefly changed my site over to HTTPS, and I lost all my social shares, and so I was freaking out. So I went on Stack Overflow and I was looking up how to fix that, and people were saying that you can actually. There was one way you can do it where you can transfer the likes over from the existing APIs or something, or you can actually just game it where you just manually put in what you had. And I was thinking, well, if you can just manually put in what you had, then you can put in any number you'd like.
Apparently, there are also other tools, analytics tools, that really helps you, to get to know how much you've shared a link on, on Twitter or Facebook or any other social media platform. There are tools that really gets the number out. So I really don't think it's not really a major concern, is it? Because a lot of people use image formats that's showcasing their number instead of using exactly the Twitter button that we have from Twitter official button. They just use an image and there's a big number on it, but when you actually check their account, they're different. So
yeah,
I think it's fair enough.
One of the problems I've been seeing is my competition, not my competition, but somebody who's located pretty close to the city that I live in and who does SEOs, they have an automatic posting tool for their social media, and for their Twitter, they've posted the same thing for the past, I think, like 12, maybe like 6 months, and it's getting ridiculous because they're just posting the same thing. But if you go to that website now, they have tons of shares because they're posting the same thing every day. And I think also because they're so active on their social media, they're all like on their Twitter, for instance, they're also showing up in the Google search results for their Twitter account, which is actually an SEO term, which is SEO and then their city, which is crazy.
Which is good in a sense, but again, if I open a Twitter profile and I see the similar post constantly, I don't think I would be actually following that person ever.
No, I don't think anybody would.
Okay, I'd just like to skip along to the next one. It's on this very same subject. It's just that there's been a great disturbance in the force, and bloggers everywhere are beating their breasts and tearing their hair out. Can you report anything on this, Mr. Taki?
Well, that's that's what we've been discussing, right? So Twitter has to remove officially the number next to the tweet button, not next to the follower button. So the number of followers are still there. The numbers for followers are still there, but not numbers for tweets next to the tweet button. They're gone. So yeah, I think for people who relied on that number to indicate how popular or how good they are, then it's a bit of a problem because no one can see it. So that value, you have imputed value to the number next to the tweet button, and if that's gone, then yeah, it does look. It may you can't distinguish yourself from others, especially if you don't have equally high numbers in, let's say, Facebook likes. Because sometimes you see sites where there are lots of tweet numbers, high tweet number, yet very small Facebook like numbers. And if you have a low Facebook number and now no Twitter number, which used to be very big, then obviously that might make the site or the page less popular.
Yeah, I think the real question is how prevalent is social signals or social proof, for your own blog, or your clients' blogs? Is it like a huge game changer? And I think for some websites it probably is, like Social Media Examiner, when you go there and you see thousands of tweets, versus somebody who has a blog or whatever, and they only have like 10 or 20 tweets. They're actually probably going to be getting the benefits, because they're not going to look like they're really low on the totem pole compared to some of the really big sites.
Yeah, so I think it's really trying to make sense of the trying to make a more qualitative, not decision's not the right word, analysis of the content, isn't it? It's a very big blobby number. What does it mean? If you have 23K number next to the tweet button, I mean, it's hard to know what that means. Does it mean that people are being very positive about your content? Is it shared because it's controversial and people are arguing over it? It's very difficult to know what that figure means. And that same argument applies to Facebook like numbers too.
Do you think this started because of the whole Google Plus change? Because I noticed that inside Google Plus now, the new interface, it only shows the follower count for your profile, and it doesn't show the view count.
I think, well, the Twitter announcement has been made quite a while ago, so I think that must be in pipelines for a while, and I think there are, as they said, technical reasons why they want to do it. Obviously, those technical reasons could have been overcome had they thought these numbers were really important. Then if Twitter had thought that this number is really vitally important for the platform, then they would have made sure that that number would have ported to the new platform and to the new version. The fact that they haven't done so, I think, suggests that they have issues. They perhaps may be slightly dubious about the value of that number, and it'd be interesting to see what Twitter will come up with, because I think Twitter Analytics is pretty decent. I like it. You could see what are the engagements, what are the expansions, how many clicks, so on and so forth. So that's more important for me as a Twitter user, in a sense, than the big number. Um, so it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see how Twitter will, what Twitter will do in the future. Whether they will come up with something comparable, similar. Because I suppose many people do like the fact, if you run a website, many people do like the fact that there's a big number next to the tweet button.
Right. It'll also be interesting to see how these other social media platforms react to, and see if they're going to follow suit or if they're going to, hold strong and keep the share. Because right now it looks pretty silly.
Yeah,
to see all the numbers on most of the, platforms, but not Twitter, it looks really strange.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if other platforms follow suit. I mean, because for Facebook and Google Plus, at least, there are two distinct things. For Facebook, there's a like button and the share button, even though the number would be the same, because both will count engagement, so they're the same in a sense metric. But functionally, you could argue that like is very different from share, because if you like something, it doesn't necessarily get shared on your timeline.
Well, the Sumo Me share, I don't know about the other shares, but they actually do show the difference between the likes and the shares.
Oh. But if you have a share or like button from Facebook itself, I thought the number would be the same.
If you just have one button, it's mostly like. Otherwise, you need to have two buttons for like and share, different buttons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't combine both the numbers in any way, or nor even any of the platforms that provides share buttons like share this, add this. They don't actually even provide share buttons, if I am not mistaken. Maybe share this, but not add this. Add this does not provide share buttons. When it comes to no, they do actually. They do. I am mistaken. They do. But the numbers do not combine. There are separate numbers for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you have 1.2 likes and 20.
It is odd though, like in the Sumo Me interface, it does still over your overall shares at the top. If anybody liked it, it counts as in the counter as a share, which is odd.
Yeah. So that like is for the page, is it?
It's for the anytime you
Website.
post any post that you make, if you post it on Facebook and somebody likes that post from your website, then it goes to the like on your website. But if they reshare it or somebody just shares it directly from that post, then the Facebook icon, the actual F, that number will go up, and that might be arbitrary. If it's a different app, it'll probably be a different icon.
Oh, I didn't know that. So I had when you generate the like button from Facebook, you could have the like button together with the share button, for example, and then that would have the sort of same number.
Yeah, I think that's how it used to be, or it might still be that way for the actual Facebook.
And then generate the button from the Facebook side. So.
Okay. Will we wander on and do another one?
Yeah, I think because we won't actually experience anything until we are in that phase. Everyone would be reacting when it's actually gone. The number is actually gone. So, the real reactions are pretty much gonna come at that point of time. And now that Twitter has actually made this announcement prior to getting rid of this number thing. Probably the share buttons, companies, they're going to come up with some new or creative idea to actually make things count, or have some alternate way of fixing it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Facebook. I hope you can see the screen. So I'm the developer's side, and here, for example, this has like and share button next to it, and it has 2.1 million people like this. And if you go to share button, let's see, the numbers are essentially the same. So yeah. So it'd be interesting to see if what Facebook will do with like button and Google Plus will do with Google +1 button.
Yeah. All right. Watch this space. Okay. Let's go on to the next. We have a new Google Plus. It's leaner, meaner, and altogether faster. The extra speed is the complete removal of Hangouts, and causing a whole heap of grief. People are unhappy about the red bar on top. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's absolutely fabulous.
The only downside is that Google Plus is still hard to use.
If you're a power user like Masataki and Tim Kappa, you shouldn't have any worry.
What's complicated about it?
Well, one of the things is when you have to go to your business page, and
yes,
in order to get to the posts for your business page, you have to click on your business page, and then you have to go bring the bar back up and go to your Google Plus page, and then you can post. You would think that if you just go to your business page, you'd be able to share an update from there.
Yeah, I think the expected workflow now is that you go to business.google.com to manage your Google Plus pages, especially local ones. But that's a big issue. There are real issues at the moment, I think, on Android app, for example. It's a bit of a mess, to say the least. And how the Google My Business app and the Google Plus app interact, how those two interact. Lots of problems at the moment. So yes, I think for page management, it's not ideal, shall we say.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the computer version of it or the desktop version is that bad, but when I went into the mobile version, I was like, oh my god, what happened?
Oh, do you have an iOS device?
I do.
Yeah. I think I don't have an iOS device, so I can't say, but from seeing all the reports, yeah, there are serious issues. There have been serious issues, and they patched some of them, but there are still few bugs there, as far as I'm aware. Sort of getting earful in the community. So
why is it that we just get used to Google Plus and they just suddenly change everything? I was complaining the other week, prior to last week, that Google Plus really takes a lot of time to change or to evolve or to improve on something they've built. And 2 days later, I see new Google Plus all the way, and I said, man, seriously, I just got used to it, and you're just again giving me a new layout.
Yeah, I think that's been a big issue. I think, especially for businesses, that there wasn't really a confidence in the stability and the predictability of the platform. Tim knows this far better than I do, but how the local listings got merged into Google Plus, and then it's not really working out, and now I don't know what they're trying to do with local pages, for example. But it's been, in that sense, it's been constantly changing, and you could say, oh, it's great, they're improving all the time. It wasn't stable, it wasn't predictable, and it really wasn't future-proof. So hopefully this is something that they will stick with for a while, because compared to something like Facebook, which has been reasonably stable for quite a long time, Google Plus has been changing all the time, and I think that does put people off.
I'm actually not sure if that's the changing that bothers me. See, because um, there's a difference between Facebook and Google Plus. There's a major difference. One is completely social. It's socially, it's, how do you say, reliable when it comes to social. Google Plus isn't, because Google Plus, brings you something. It gives you and says, take it or leave it, right? It doesn't really evolve in that regard, but it does change the layout and everything. But the generic features are still not there. I mean, like, if the reality is that if I want to know what's Jim's birthday or yours birthday, I'm sorry, there's no way of finding it until you have a birthday.
Yeah,
that's seriously odd.
that function, sort of the birthday thing, the reminder's gone, but you can see the birthdays on, I think, calendar now. So that sort of function has been, that's been quite a long time ago that they stopped showing the birthday reminders. So that's sort of more in the calendar side of things now. Events are missing. You have to go back to Classic on web, desktop, laptop to create an event. So you can create an event, I think, on Android, but not on iOS. You can't create polls at the moment because you have to go back to Classic. I don't think you can create polls on either of the mobile device platforms, not on Android, not on iOS. So there are things that are missing, and for people who have been using those functions, it's not great.
So not only that, but there are other glitches also. I mean, when I just like the day it launched, and I was testing it. I accidentally posted something else to my collection, which I wasn't. I was supposed to share it on my wall, and I wasn't able to do remove from collection and move to wall. I wasn't able to do that. But prior to that, I was able to in the older version. Yeah,
I think you
odd.
can remove something from the collection.
Yeah, but
so long as
that goes deleted.
Public post. No. Initially there might have been issues on that, but I think now you can remove something from a collection
And put it into public collection. Sorry, a random
public.
one.
Yeah. It's So yeah, there have been many bugs. I think some of them that have been fixed. Others I think are still outstanding. But that's the case when they have this kind of pretty fundamental overhaul. So
Photos are gone. There are a lot of things that are missing.
Yeah, so I think that's the idea now, that photos, if you want to do anything with photos, go to photos.google.com. If you want to do Hangouts, text chat, video chat, go to hangouts.google.com.
Yeah, but is it really a pain for Google just to give us everything on a single dashboard when we are actually connected all the way to Hangouts, to events, to photos, to business pages? I mean, like, it's okay to have a link, right? I mean, it's certainly okay. I mean, like, people like me who are using, like you are using, Jim is using, but people who do not use Google Plus or rarely use, they're going to see a whole new world, and they're going to shut it down immediately because that's going to disturb them mentally.
No,
they would be probably thinking the photos are gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think I suspect that there are more users of photos than Google Plus, certainly active users, I'd have thought. The idea of Hangouts is that, in a sense, that it's opening up, so you don't have to have a Google Plus profile. It used to be a case that you use Google Photos, or it used to be part of Google Plus Photos. You had to have a Google Plus profile. And certainly was the case for Hangouts on Air and other things. So they are stopping that. They're saying, okay, look, Google Plus is just another product in this range of products and services that Google offers. If you want to use it, go ahead. If you don't, that's fine. But if you want to use Photos, if you want to use our Photos product, great, do that. If you want to use Hangouts, great, you do that. So the losses of functions, I think, are keenly felt by people who have been using Google Plus very intensively and quite deeply. Hangouts are gone, Photos are gone. For power users, I think it's not a great change. But I think for a very large number of people for whom they didn't necessarily want to have a Google Plus profile, wouldn't even want to use Google Plus, separating things out from Google Plus, that makes complete sense.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, okay, I get this picture, but again, let's say, Google profile. I mean, like, Google Plus is basically a product now. So that's how I'm going to label it, because that's how Google is actually treating it, and it's treating us. Okay, but when you log into your Gmail, why not give one dashboard directly instead of linking it to your Google profile? Why give an image that there is something linked there, rather than they can just give a dashboard, and then from there we can go anywhere we want? Why give us Google profile as a first priority instead of giving us a direct dashboard and then manage it from there, or the profile that we of the About Me page maybe? That's a wonderful idea, to add these things to About Me page and then link up wherever you want, right? But why give Google Plus as an option there? That's a terrible idea.
What do you mean? I'm not 100% sure. Because
what I mean to say is, like, let's say whenever you log into your Gmail, all you see on the top corner is your Google profile. Why not link it to About Me page and then link Google Plus, Hangouts, events directly there, instead of giving me a link to my Google profile? Because even though if I log into that area, the Google Plus area, I do not see the other things, rather than where I should be seeing photos, events as well, right? Like we were seeing it prior to the change. Why not link it to About Me instead of linking it to profile, Google profile?
No, if you go to your if you log into your Gmail, and then if you sign into multiple accounts, the avatar will show you the different accounts. So if you click on those, it will land you on the Gmail account of the other accounts. It doesn't take you to Google Plus. The way that you go to Google Plus and other services would be through the 9-dot apps menu. So that's next to your name and next to the notification bell. The problem with that is that the Hangout's not there. So there is no easy way to get to Hangouts from the 9-dot apps menu, which I think is a big oversight on the part of Google, because I think Hangouts is something that many people use.
Yeah, I mean,
So the idea is that I think, I don't know, is that there is more or less a common header bar, right? And the top right is going to be, on desktop at least, the top right corner will be the same. You have the avatar, which is essentially changing accounts if you sign into multiple accounts. And in case of Google Plus, it allows you to change to your page identity, managing the page as the owner, as well as signing in directly to the Google account of that Google Plus page. But otherwise, you can switch to different services, open different services in new window using the 9-dot apps menu. So in that sense, you could go to Gmail, you could go to Google Plus, you could go to Maps, you could go to Photos. It's that 9-dot menu that's going to be central to that. So there's no, in a sense, that central place, because I think there are many user cases. People log into different Google products as first point of call, and then they might do something else. And not everyone's using the whole suite of products. So it really makes sense to have that 9-dot so that people can choose which products, services they want to use. Which is bad news if you are someone who wants to have everything in one place.
Yeah, because I cannot wake up mornings and just type in hangouts.google.com or photos.google.com. It's too much. Google has so many services, so many products, and to be honest, it doesn't even fit into nine dots. They have to have more icons to like Hangouts, as you said, is missing. So it's good that they're evolving, they're changing, and change is some way, in some ways it's good. But when you actually changed the entire structure of menu system, it really, gives you a sit back and think about it.
Yeah.
But Meher, do you remember in the old version of Google Plus, there was a little message, a little dialog box popped up, and it said loading page.
Loading page.
You don't remember it, loading this page?
I never received that.
Okay. I used to get it all the time, and the reason for it was Hangouts. It introduced lag. Of course, just having that dialog box, means that the programmers, if they coded the dialog box, they knew that there was going to be lag, and that was to let you know that the page hasn't broken; it's just loading. So that's taking Hangouts out of Google Plus to give you the speed. I think that was a great decision because it's not that hard to make a bookmark for hangouts.google.com and just have an extra tab open for Hangouts. Although I must admit I continually forget.
That's my point. I mean, like, that's okay, when you're using this on browser and you're scrolling, yes, I that really makes sense. But on mobile, these changes that they've made, for a quicker, loading, that should have worked very well. That should actually, in fact, that's working very well when it comes to mobile or tabs. But the web version should have at least given us certain links. It's really sad to see that. I mean, like, fine, let keep that as a distant. We can remove the Google Hangouts area or the login or chatting area, the boxing and everything from here. But there should be a direct link that we can just click and go to the service if that's an active service. Like I use Google Hangout, you use Google Hangout. Let's say if somebody hasn't signed up for Google Hangouts, don't show up. Don't give that link as a reference. That's fine. That's fair enough. But like we're using it to remove that link is like you stand nowhere. You have to just go to every single link. For people who do not use Google, I mean, who hasn't signed up for Hangouts, that's fine not to show up links. But removing links doesn't make sense. I mean, like if I'm using Photos or Hangouts, let the link be there. If I'm not using, let the link, disappear, or give that in the nine, dots there. You can put that link there, like. But removing it from one click away doesn't make sense for me, at least. I mean, like I was okay. In fact, I was really like the idea of seeing the Hangout picture right on my side, on the right side every time. It was easier. It was quicker. It was smooth for me.
Yeah, I think we're not alone. It's one of the biggest complaints. Where's Hangouts? Where's it gone? That's been one of the big themes in the community. So I can see why that's the case. Because I think it depends. I have the desktop app, so I don't show chats on Gmail, for example, and I just use the Hangouts app for desktop. So for me, it really doesn't make a difference. But for people who've been used to having chat boxes popping up on Gmail and Google Plus, This change on Google Plus is a big change, and I can understand why people would be upset about that.
It's not only about Google Hangouts. Let's take the photos for example. Now, when there has been a lot of times that I've been sharing some screenshots with you people, right? And whenever I had to access, there was a tab that says photo on the left, and I can scroll down, look into it, and get rid of it, or add some new photographs for you to review, or screenshots for you guys to review. Now I have to actually go to photos.com, photos.google.com, and then access it there. It's troubling. It's too much of extra work for people who use these services, maybe not for people who do not use. I mean, that's the point where Google should have considered this as a factor. The people who use the services should be shown a link, or can give an option to select what menu, what options do we want us to display on Google Plus on the left side. I think that would be a wonderful option if Google Plus does that. Like you said, the birthdays are now in calendars. The reality is that I didn't even knew that for the last 6 months or so. Maybe longer than that. I don't even remember seeing any birthdays for quite a long time now. And now you're telling me that's on my calendar. I haven't actually seen my calendar for a long time. So yeah, I mean, in that case, yes, I think if Google Plus gives us a service or a setting area that we can select all the options that we want to view on our profiles on the left, I think that would be a great option. I think everyone would be satisfied, no matter if it's linked outside Google Plus. That's good. That's fine.
Yeah, I think the argument is that that's the function of the 9-dot apps menu. As far as photos concerned, I think the workflows that you manage your photos in photos.google.com, and then you choose to share images on Google Plus. You can share the images on Facebook. You can share them on Twitter. So Google Plus is just a destination for sharing from photos.google.com. I think that's how Google sees it. So photos separate. If you want to do anything image related, do it on Google Photos. And if you want to share it on Google Plus, great, do that. But you do that through Photos rather than trying to share photos from Google Plus. If that makes sense, if that sort of distinction makes sense, the workflow presumption.
Yeah, it does. It does make sense. The only problem is that people who are actually using Google Plus or Photos in combination, for them it's hard because you have to open 2-3 tabs to just get the job done. Where it can be done only in one. Like for example, if that's a similar case happening with Photos, I'm sure that's similarly happening with Hangouts for Jim. I mean, like. He has been creating, if I'm not mistaken, you've been using Hangouts or YouTube for creating these social media Friday sessions, Jim?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. What have been what the hell am I wrong with me? Okay. What are you using for, the videos that we're doing right now, social media Fridays video? Do you use Google Plus, Hangouts, or Hangouts or YouTube?
Why? Because I'm lazy. We started on Google Plus, and I'm too lazy to change. No, not so much lazy. I'll put it to you another way. I noticed the other day that no. Actually, look, I won't get into that. I swore I wouldn't denigrate another, so I won't do it. But no, look, even when we thought that Google Plus was going to be wound up, and there's even some schools of thought. I see one of my SEO heroes, AJ Cohn, said the other day that he thinks that the the reason that the new Google Plus is so bad is because he wants that Google wants to drive away the rest of the users before they close it. But I don't agree with AJ on this one. He's usually 100% on the money, but this time I don't see it. I mean, Google has never cared about getting rid of a user list before they close the service down. I mean, look at Orkut. In South America, they closed down, and they were the most popular unit operating there. Anyway, getting back, why do we use Google Plus? Because, and YouTube, I should say, because they're a good fit, and they're easy to use, they're free, and they work. We have eyes watching us now that wouldn't be watching us if we were on Blab or on like using Periscope or whatever, or Vimeo or whatever. It's just so easy to do it using Hangouts and Google Plus.
Okay, so I mean, how do you initiate an event? I mean, like this particular video that we're doing right now. Did you start it from YouTube or Google Hangouts?
I have a link to Hangouts on Air. I've got that in my bookmarks, and so I just go straight there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just realised I completely misunderstood your question. Is that right?
That's okay, that's okay. We just got something out of you. That's a review from Google.
It's look, it's only because I'm an idiot. Just let me see.
So you had to drop your laziness today just to start this event.
I had to which?
You just had to drop your laziness today to actually get to Hangouts to start this Hangout today?
No. I mean, once you set up an event, it's an easy thing to. The only thing is that now events aren't on the Google Plus menu. So what I've done since this new implementation is I'm now sharing the event to a collection, and also and that got me a plus from Chase Rayner. And I am also putting in the link into the Hangout to the post that we make and pin to the top of the SEO questions community. Just a little bit of a change of habit. And so when I was starting, I had a choice of going to collections to find the event or the community. It's no big deal.
Good. For me, if I had to do that, I would actually not do it at all.
It's really. I mean, here is. I'll just put in the chat the link I used to start a Hangout. It's there. You know what I mean? It's just a bookmark, and it's just as quick to do that.
Awesome. I think then in that case, I'm the laziest person here. Now, I really wish Google does give me an option to select and put things on my left on Google Plus, because that's the first thing, that's the only thing actually I open after my Gmail, and for me it's easier to navigate and see the latest things happening, you know, for even, be it for events or for photos, anything that I'm changing, it's quicker for me. Maybe, you know, I'm fine giving me, if Google plans to give external link, that's perfectly fine, but I mean, seeing there on left gives me a reminder that, okay, yeah, you have to check all these things. You know, it gives you a constant reminder to don't forget to watch these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think overall for me, if I have to say something, when it comes to the new interface, it's good. It's faster, no doubt about it. You know, change is always good. It really keeps you, you know, keeps you giving a learning experience. You know, you have to keep yourself updated all the time. But for people who've been using Google, it's good. It's fair enough. But who are very new, who do not use Google the way we use, it's really a bad news for them.
I don't know. I think it's the other way around. That
I think that, you see, it's going to take them at least 5 days to realize, okay, you have to go to photos.google.com just to see your pictures. It's gone from here. It's I mean, for starters, again, for people who very rare visitors to Google Plus, for them it's going to be hard for a month, and they're going to adapt later.
No, I think for new users it's going to be easier because the chances are that they're already using some of the other services.
No, not the new users, the returning users, people who rarely use Google Plus. For new users, I don't think there is going to be actually any problem because that's something new. They're going to experiment, right? But for people who are very, very less frequent users, for them it's going to be difficult. For aggressive users like us, for newbies, it's an easy tool.
Yeah, I think the occasional users, if they haven't been around Google Plus for a long time, then they hadn't been using it anyway. So in that sense, I'm not 100% sure how that would apply. But it's really for current intense users, heavy users of Google Plus who are mostly affected by the lack of certain functions because they have been taken away or moved away. So it's probable that some people will abandon the platform. Any change will make a certain number of people very unhappy and very unhappy to the extent of leaving the platform. But I think Google probably has to think in terms of net gains and net losses. And by having a more focused product, I think it's likely to have a net gain rather than a net loss.
It's a pleasure to use. I think that's what's going to gain them people. I mean, if we weren't heavily entrenched in Google Plus, I may well have stopped using it. But the only thing that I stayed for was because I'd made so many friends here. But the actual platform started off buggy, which you tolerated because it was beta. But it never ever got past that buggy stage, and so the problems with the service you just got used to. Now using the new version, it's so fast that it's a pleasure to use.
I agree. I think Google is the only company which actually doesn't rip you off and does not give you something in return. Like when it took off Orchid, it gave you this Google Plus. It was a fresh start, but then it didn't actually throw you off throw you off. It did give you something new and something more experimental to do. So even the reality is that even if Google has taken out photos, events, or Hangouts out of Google Plus, those products still exist and they are very much existing, and people would have choices what to use, what not to use. So it's pretty good.
So the question is, I think, if people do choose to use Google Plus, then hopefully, whether it's photos or Hangouts, events, they are reasonably well connected, so it doesn't feel too jarring to sort of switch from one product to the other. And I think that's where things aren't really there yet. But I think it's still a work in progress. It's not a finished product. And yeah, hopefully, certain things will come back. Who knows what will come back and when it will come back. But yeah, I think it's a good start. It's faster, it's nimbler, and it's more focused. So hopefully this would be a good basis for a stable platform, because I don't think the stability was there before.
I think it's a great start. I'm still experimenting, still learning, still finding glitches, and it's good to see Google change. Actually, I'm more happy that it has changed. Apart from me constantly nagging that Google doesn't do this, Google doesn't do that. Constant nagging that I've been doing for the last 2.5 years, I guess. But it's for me. I'm still excited. I'm still excited just to see the new Google Plus icon actually. What's more in the store? What's more in the store? See, one of the things that that I've experienced with Google, no matter whichever product it is, whenever Google comes up with new service or a product, it does bring something extra to the platform. Be it anything, you can pick any platform that you would like, and you will always notice that Google does bring something extra. It's just not change the face or something. It gives you something extra additional to it. That's my experience with Google.
Yep. Notice that partway through this conversation, I switched from question 3 to question 4, because basically we were talking about that. But was there anything that you wanted to follow up on this one, Maher? We were talking before in the green room, and you said that you might.
Yeah, Jason has actually shared quite a lot of pointers that new Google Plus has maybe glitches or the actual changes that it has made to the previous version for the new version as well. Like photos are gone. It's actually very elaborate. I really liked this article because I didn't have to do the entire stuff by myself. I didn't actually have to do mostly everything that Jason has mentioned here, and it's pretty accurate. And most of the glitches that I was finding, like can't move a post from public to a collection or vice versa, I think it's fixed. I mean, like, I haven't tried it yet, but I think Jason has corrected that. He's cancelled that out. He's struck that out just to prove that it's corrected. So Google is still fixing, and if somebody wants to know what all changes has been made for different features, I think Jason's post is pretty brilliant in that case. In fact, there are a couple of features, or maybe just tiny little bits of features that I didn't actually even use.
All right. Have we shared our joy on the new Google Plus to our heart's content?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
All right.
you're still thinking. I think it's never ending. Until it's static, I think it's going to take us next 3-4 months to finally say, okay, Google has actually evolved. Now it's going to stay for a while and then give us a new show a year later or so. But it's a good change. I'm glad to see Google change. It's Google Plus change. It's nice.
Okay. All right, we're at that time again, and we thank you for watching. Those of you still watching, we appreciate your participation very much. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. We're looking forward to coming back at the same time next week to do it all again.